Welcome back to Detroit Garage. On this video we're going to make an adapter to run the OMC Sterndrive for the Bayliner. We're putting an OM617 diesel in that boat. And here's the engine stripped down. Ordered all the parts and we're just waiting on the parts. So while I wait for the parts, we'll do the adapter. So there's the outdrive coupler that drives the outdrive. So this is a flywheel off of a Ford 2.3 liter that used to drive this, and it goes on here like this. So this gets turned down to fit inside the OM617 flex plate. Very similar to this flywheel I made for the dyno. So when I'm done, it'll be very similar to this. It'll just bolt together onto this flex plate. So I've just put this in my chuck. I've roughed it up. I've got to cut a lip in here so that I can turn it around and work the backside. There's nothing for me to hold on to. And my chuck, my lathe is too small to get on the outside of this. So I've got to cut a lip in here. Okay, I made myself a lip I can grab onto, and then I got rid of that nasty wobble. Well, it has no effect on the flywheel other than balancing. There's a lot more mass in this area than the low side, so I'll flip the flywheel around and start working the backside. That should be enough to grip onto. I'll give it a test run first, and then I'll pull these dowels out when I'm done and then finish this off as well. Okay, I've got it chucked up now. Now that I made the lip, I've got it dialed in, 1/1000ths run out total. So I'm going to work this edge now to fit the flywheel. Clean this up. I need to work this edge here to get a good true surface to chuck it up with. This is just rough cast. You see that? There's still a bunch of casting hanging out here. So I'll clean all that up, clean this surface up. I'll start working this surface here, and then keep measuring and fitting to the other flywheel. All right, well, that's getting dressed up now. All right, guys, well, we're making some headway. We've cleaned that up. Now I can grab onto this side and work the front side as well. So, and then I can start working this edge here. The main importance is to get this turned down to fit the other flywheel. This rough casting being slightly out of round like that is okay. Maybe I might run a tool through here just to clean it up, but it's not necessary. Okay, I'm at the max swing of this lathe. Okay, I gotta cut it down to this, basically. Okay, now I gotta taper it slightly. Close. Okay, there it is. First fit. All right, now I have to cut the center piece to fit this, like this piece. So what I'm going to do next is I'll just work this a little bit more. I'll pull the dowel pins out, face this off, and then I'll plug these holes. And then I'll turn the whole unit. I think that's the best plan of attack. Then I'll open this up slightly, a little bit more so I can get my chuck in here correctly. So the dowel pins were proving to be a little bit tough to get out. So I don't have a dedicated dowel pin puller, so I just drill a hole in the back and drive them out with a punch. Like that. And then, free of dowel pins. The dowel pins themselves can be reused, so I'll just put those away. Three dowel pins. Okay, I'm just turning down a bolt to make the plugs for the flywheel, the old holes in the flywheel. All right, the slugs are made. I've put 5 in. We'll put the last one in together. They're all in. This one, I might have to punch it out and redo it again. It's not very strong. Well, it's not very tight. I overdid it on the lathe, so I'll let this cure and then turn this and see. But that's how I do it. And then I drill it out to match this. Do a bit of cheating. Okay, I made it a rivet, but it's not going to go anywhere, guys. So I'll let this cure, and then the next portion I'll turn this and then work the face. Okay, the slugs are all in there now. All I've got to do is face that off. Okay, well this side's basically done. I opened this lip up a bit more so my chuck can get in here correctly. And now we'll turn that around and work the back side. And then I have to double check this because I've located it on the outside, but it's really located on this center hub here. So I put a dial gauge on this. On the crank it came off of, this was what located the crankshaft center. And it's plus or minus 3 thousandths or 4 thousandths. So what I'm gonna do is put the outdrive flex coupler on here and check and see how much out of round that is. When this is dialed in, the outside's dialed into plus or minus a half thou. So a total run out of 1 thousandths on this. But in here it's plus or minus 3. So I think it's a total of 6 thousandths run out in here. I want to get it as tight as I can because this engine's going to be spinning this at up to 5,200 RPM or 4,800 RPM, whatever it's going to be. I want this really smooth. So the closer I get it to 0 run out, the better this all works. So that's why. I'll turn this around now and I'll work the backside. Okay, we'll work the backside for a bit. Okay, that's looking pretty nice. So go fit it up now to the other flywheel and see what I think. I'm going to make a 1/8 of an inch lip for the flywheel to sit on the OM617 flywheel. So I'll rough it in and then do the precision stuff after it's roughed in. So I just want to go 1/8 of an inch in. And then try that. So I ran into some issues with the outdrive coupler. The rubber coupler is really bad. It's like plus or minus 10 thousandths run out. Yeah, so it looks like the rubber coupler spun in the hub. So I've got a plan B. So there's the flywheel faced off. And that's how it bolts up. And that's really bad. But plan B is I've got this dialed in so I can always replace it with a brand new one. They're around $300 to $500 US. So plan B. That's plan B. The only issue is because these bolts are going to be here, I can't bolt this in here. I dialed this in, it's in really nice shape. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn this piece of scrap steel. So I'm going to drill now, drill a pilot hole, drill that out, and then turn it to size to fit the coupler. So I remeasured this. It's actually a 1/2 inch plate steel. That was a piece of scrap I had on my bench, so we'll be taking off about maybe a 1/16 of an inch or so just to face it and true it up. All right, we made some more progress. I never filmed turning this, I don't think. But anyway, we turned a plate. It's 1/2 inch steel, and I centered it up. I've drilled the holes for the coupler and the bolt holes here to bolt it to the flywheel. And we're just doing the last little bit of truing up before we drill the holes. So we got about 1/1000ths run out, total run out, so plus or minus a 1/2. So that's really nice. Now I want to make sure this is all faced off and trued up here. So that's what we're going to do next. So this side's the same, essentially 1/1000ths total run out. And then this plate, I'll bolt this plate on. Give me a minute and then we'll double check this. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. do something a little cleaner for you. So that's about not even a full thousandth, so pretty sweet, guys. I'm not gonna touch it. And the hub, all right, that's a total of a thousandths run out on this lip, so that's pretty sweet. I mean, this is a thousandth, so everything's a thousandths. The last thing I've got to do is double check it when it's on the flywheel on the OM617. But that's what we're gonna do. We're calling this good. I'm not working on this anymore. I spent a lot of hours on this one. I ran into issues, like I said before, with that other coupler, and this one here is much better. So I took this one off. I've already dialed it in, and I'll put a little clip of that. I did a short video of that, but pretty sweet. Now I've got to drill the holes. We've got Oki doing the heavy lifting here, drilling the holes into the flywheel. Put a few more in, I think. All right, holes are drilled. Maybe they should have made 14 holes. Do you think 12's enough? I don't know if that's gonna hold it together, really. So we're gonna get 12 bolts with a shoulder like this on it. And but for now, I'm just going to run these. I'm going to run 6 of them. That's enough to torque down the flywheel. So 6 bolts to test it out, and go from there. All right, well, there it is. So I'll put the oil pan on and put it in the boat, and then adapt this housing to the this piece here. I think I'll use 1/4-inch plate steel. That should work pretty sweet. So now I have to put the oil pan on and go fit it in the boat. Yeah, had I not run into that issue with the first coupler, I would have had it in the boat a week ago, but oh well. This coupler looks like it went from the 3-liter right up to the 8.2-liter. So there's plenty online if I ever blow this one up or rip it apart. So the next video we'll be putting it in the boat and sizing it up. Oh yeah, one more thing before I run. Some of the parts have come in. I've got the valve guides, I've got piston rings, and gaskets, some gasket sets. So piston rings, bronze guides, and then there's a bunch of parts down in Danville, Washington. I've got to run down and pick those up next week. New bearings. I got Conrod bearings and mains. And that just about does it for all the parts. I'll start to assemble it once I've fit it in the boat and made the adapters. So yeah, happy times. I'm really enjoying this, guys. So again, thanks for checking in. We'll catch you on the next video. Take care.